and I just see darkness. It's on my left, on my right, can't take flight. This world is so heartless.
I think we got your number.
You got it?
I'll show the screen.
Is it related to Avogadro's number? Hey. So, I failed at filming my last race, which was the St. Anthony's Olympic Triathlon down in St. Petersburg, Florida this past weekend. It was a good race. Got 8th out of the 19 in the elite open field, so that was a good time getting to stack up. Yeah, just super quick race recap. The swim was shortened, so it was only 750 meters announced, but really it was only like 400 with like a 200-yard run hop because the water was so shallow. It was really crazy. Got on the bike, went pretty chill in the first little bit just to kind of get settled in with the heart rate, and then look, deer. Oh dear. Anyway, so got on the bike, did that, and then started to build into a good strong effort. Then a group caught me, and I was pulling the group for a while, and we kind of traded off. So yeah, I didn't push as many watts as I could have, but I didn't like overdo it and worked well with the group. Gone to the run, first 3K, 3 miles, first 5K. Wanted to just stay in control, so I ran like a 6:16 to 6:20 per mile for the first 3 miles, and then on the way back turned it up a bit. Was dropping like a 6:05 and then like a 6:10, and then I really was dropping it down to like a 5:50 that last mile, but then I cramped the last half mile and it slowed me down to like a 7:30 pace, so that mile ended up only being like a 6:26. So anyway, big mistakes for the race, which is gonna relate to this video, is so I was planning on taking how much? At least in pill form, 750 milligrams of salt pills. I forgot to take them until like 40 minutes in and only took about half of that, and on the run I totally forgot to take the 500 milligrams in salt pills. So, you know, it's really simple stuff that I shouldn't have forgotten, but for whatever reason, when your brain gets in race mode and you're pushing your heart rate and everything, you just don't think straight, and I guess, you know, you make stupid mistakes. So anyway, I'm on my way downtown to Atlanta to further evaluate how much salt I need to take, because I have a 70.3 Chattanooga coming up in 3 weeks. And for today, as I go down, I'm going to be meeting with Lexi Kelson, who if you haven't checked out the Stupid Questions podcast, she has an episode coming out relatively soon. Dietitian and nutritionist that is on the Precision Fuel and Hydration team. They have this special test equipment to test your sweat rate and the salinity levels per liter. So I'm going down there, we're gonna film that, get that sweat test done, and then plug that into my training program to figure out how much salt I need to be taking, and then dial in the fluids as well. I'm gonna go do that, spend some time with Lexi, and first though, I gotta drive. Unfortunately, it is an hour and 48 minutes from my house, a little bit more than that. To introduce you to everybody, this is Lexi.
Okay, step one is cleaning off the forearms. So you get to pick which forearm you want to
This
do.
is-
Perfect.
Like the underside?
Yeah, so this side.
Okay.
Yeah. And then step one is stimulating the sweat glands, which is through this. So it's pilocarpine, which is the chemical in here. Pilocarpine.
It's like a plastic. And what's the carpine?
You know, I couldn't tell you. I should know that. It's a great question.
But it does it through like electro...
Yeah, so these are just like trying to create a closed circuit and then run just a little bit of electricity basically through it.
Okay.
And it's just basically telling your sweat glands that they need to produce a sweat response, but very localized. So it's just kind of tricking your sweat glands into thinking that they need to sweat.
Interesting.
They don't.
So we'll make my whole arm or just under
Just underneath the 2 little dots. And then we collect it from the red one. So, yeah, I've been doing some more research too, just on like comparing active versus passive sweat testing, because the question that we always get is, okay, this is an at-rest test. Does that simulate what you're getting when you're exercising?
Yeah.
And from what we're seeing is, when you're exercising at a, the common intensity that we see athletes going for, it is pretty indicative of what you're getting when you're exercising. This spot specifically tends to be more indicative of the whole body, like overall sweat sodium concentration. So that's why we do on the dorsal forearm. But yeah, so it probably feels a little prickly.
It does, it tickles a little bit. I'm noticing it more here. I don't know if it just lessens it. Okay.
So that's the positive electrode.
That might just like a car battery.
Yeah, pretty much. We're just making you a car battery.
How old is this technology? Do you know?
Like 20 years maybe, 15, 20 years, because it's used in cystic fibrosis. So this is the same process they use for one of the diagnostics for cystic fibrosis.
I'll be curious. So I did a test, a sweat test, but it was through, I think it was called Levelin.
Yeah, we've worked with them before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know how accurate it was, because I had my like before and after weight with my scale, and I don't know if I like measured the water that I took like perfectly, and then the intake of sodium I tried to count. Anyway, I'm hoping that this is more accurate, but it'll be interesting to compare those.
What was the level of results, out of curiosity?
So sodium loss, or the sweat rate, I guess, liters per hour was 0.9 and 1.23 bike and run respectively.
So you lost more sweat on the run.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so sodium loss on the, I guess this is the bike, was 1,165.
Okay.
And then the run was 2,073.
So that makes sense because
more water was lost.
right, so more total losses. So the relative concentration, we're probably going to be a saltier sweater, but it's not going to. My guess is you're going to be around 1,300. It'll be in a minute, and then I'll put this part on. So this is just basically just a sweat collector.
Okay.
There it goes.
Wow. So what starts lighting up first? The center dot expands? Is that what happens?
So it starts filling up the tube with blue fluid that you'll see from the middle, and just start circling around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many tests have you done this week?
I have 3 this week. Last week I had 5, which is like not normal.
Was Robert and Devin one of them?
Yeah, there were 2 of them. Yeah, they were awesome. Are you a heavy sweater?
I don't know.
So based on the leveling, actually, that would be helpful. How long was that bike session?
The bike was 211 minutes,
Okay.
and then the run was 2 hours, 124 minutes.
Okay. And then that sweat losses was total or per hour that you had read out?
It was per hour. Do you want the total?
That's okay. It was
Okay.
around a liter per hour, I remember.
Yeah.
So that would be about high. Wouldn't be very high. So like for
It was
context-
super humid out.
Okay. Yes. Oh, for like context, if you would have been like 1.5 or higher, that would have been like like a heavy sweater. For like lower moderate, it'd be like half a liter.
Okay.
So you're like on the lower end of high.
Okay.
Like just above average.
Yeah. No.
Next step, taking off the collector. A little piece of plastic on top.
Interesting.
This is not going into your arm, it is going into the tube. People like to
It
freak
doesn't
out.
look very sharp,
It's
so that'd
not.
be tough. So you draw it from the very end.
Yeah, it's just a syringe.
I don't really get way up in your business here.
Go for it. Should have done my nails.
Yeah. Should I draw it up? Yes. Oh, you actually clip
Just
it.
clip it. And this part
So this is going to.
is going to analyze the sweat contents
Does it measure in like
in millimoles.
millimole? Okay.
I think we got your number.
You got it.
I'll show the screen.
Is
this
it
part.
related to Avogadro's number?
You can see it's reading the number.
You get 63 millimole.
Yep, that seems. So no, it's 64. So I ran it through a couple times, like back and forth, and let it settle in the back. Because the sensor is just behind those. And the most consistent highest reading is what we take. And the most consistent highest one has been 64 a few times. So in millimoles.
And that's NaCl, just salt.
Yep. This.
Oh, you said 13?
What did I say, 1300?
Yeah, wow. That's so good. Well done. I'm impressed.
So that is where you fall. And I mean,
So I'm
based on
high.
your descriptions, yeah, you're high. You're not like abnormally, you don't have cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, that's good.
In case you were worried. You are, the average that you see is 950, 949 milligrams per liter or 32 ounces.
Okay, so 32 ounces a liter, now I know that.
Yes, yeah, so it's technically like 33.1 or something, but
Yeah.
it's 32 ounces for the sake of clarity. 1310. So this is what everyone gets when they do a sweat test. This page, this will be sent to your email too.
Okay, perfect.
I think I used the podcast email. Kind of just explains your sweat concentration times your sweat rate times the duration, which is what you saw with the Levelin test, and then your net losses. So that's what the Levelin test
So
shows.
it'll need to be adjusted based on the heat of the day.
So this total fluid that you drink in
Yes.
will, but the ratio will stay the
Concentration
same.
ratio, yeah.
Yeah, so I always explain it as like, this is your recipe for like your ideal drink, and then you just drink more or less of it on a certain day if it's hotter or cooler.
So the ratio needs to stay the same. Got it.
Yeah, so you would need 1,500 milligrams per liter because you're in between these two marks based on precision products. You would round up because you're a little bit higher than the middle, and because you're doing pretty long races in hot conditions, and you have a more than low sweat rate. So those are the things that feed into the algorithm that say, okay, because of that, we're rounding you up to 1,500.
Gotcha.
Because erring a little bit on the higher side is going to be better than on the low side for endurance sport, especially in the heat. So this entire thing just walks you through
Oh, like pre-race?
preloading. Yeah, so regardless of your sweat sodium concentration, you would use 1,500 the night before and the morning of.
Okay.
That's the strength that we see as being something that can actually impact your blood plasma volume ahead of time.
Okay.
Encourage water retention, so you want to be like puffy and retaining water. You can't do this in the same length of time as you would like carb loading for 3 days because your body has such a tight regulation on fluid and sodium.
Yeah.
So it's, you're only going to be able to affect it for the night before, morning of, realistically. But that can definitely help performance. And then during the race, you would be doing the 1,500 again, since you have a high concentration.
Per hour.
So
Or per liter.
depending on how much you're drinking, yeah. So if you're drinking a liter per hour,
Yeah.
1,500 per hour. So this just kind of talks through just some practical, like, carrying it, explaining things.
Sweet.
And then in training,
Do the same.
you can definitely preload for some big training sessions. You don't need to do that before every training session. Let's say you have like a really long bike.
Yeah, just the long stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's going to be hotter than normal, longer than normal, or you just feel like maybe you're getting over a cold or you're just really tired.
Yeah.
That would be a time to do it. During training, you don't need to do this for a session that's like an hour or just over an hour unless you really feel dehydrated. It's training for more than 90 minutes is when it's like actually impactful.
Okay.
So short sessions, just like you wouldn't necessarily worry about massive fuel during short sessions, you can get away with a lot. But definitely using that for the longer sessions. This kind of walks through other factors of cramping. So cramping can be sodium related, it can be fluid related, it can be a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
So it's, making sure that you're going through what you can, control the controllables, and then
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the big benefits of having like a hydration bottle separate from all of your fuel, because then if you're changing one thing, if that affects anything, versus trying to,
Just throw
change.
everything in.
Exactly. So it's like once you start changing a bunch of stuff, you don't know what's helping, what's hurting.
Right.
Which can be a big issue when you're doing a full. So it's like you still have 4 more hours to go and you
Yeah.
don't know what's going wrong.
Yeah.
And this is just some like FAQs, links to blog posts and stuff.
Sweet.
But yeah, big picture, 1,500 before, during, and then you can finish it and sip on it a little bit after a big race. So
Yeah.
like after Chattanooga, sip on another bottle of it just to help with recovery. But yeah, what strength do you have of the tablets that we gave you? Or do you have
250 milligrams per tablet, I think.
Oh, for the capsules?
Yeah.
And then do you have like the drops?
I don't remember if I have those in.
Okay, because I have stuff for you.
Oh, beautiful.
This is for you.
Oh, you're giving me a hat too?
Of course.
Oh, thank you so much.
Gotta load you up. Okay, these are the tablets that I was talking about. So those are gonna be 1 per 16 ounces. So it says 1,500 on the front. Each serving has half of that amount, since you're mixing it in 16 ounces or 500 mils.
Yeah.
So use those for your hydration only bottle on a race. I'll also send you an email with this info. Use those for your hydration only bottle, and you can try and mix it in with the maple syrup stuff. It actually might mix better.
Yeah. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, because you're gonna need, so like if you're putting the Redmond salt in there, you're gonna need 750 milligrams in a 500 ml bottle.
Well, it looks like my thing turned off, but that was super useful. Realized I'm at 1,300 basically milligrams per liter, and I'm gonna have to do some math and read through that stuff to make sure I get a good hydration plan. But shout out to Precision Fuel and Hydration, giving me all this more free stuff. They've already given me free stuff before, and they've given me even more now, so super grateful to them, and really looking forward to turning this information into something of a successful race. So now gonna go get some lunch, go for a swim, and that'll be it for the day. See ya.
Yeah. Shield the servants in the head or in the hand. By yourself while you can.